Now, get ready for the softer side of cybersecurity with Sunsets and Snowdrifts. With your podcast host, Senior Sunset and Mr. Snowdrift, Evan and Kennedy.
Well, welcome everybody on that note to the December episode of Sunsets and Snowdrifts. I'm Mel Kalinsky. I'm just here to keep these two on track. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about the holiday season is officially upon us. And in this episode, we're going to focus on how you can help your family members keep their personal devices and home networks safe during the holidays. So they're going to share some of their real world examples of holiday scams and offer some practical advice for protecting loved ones from seasonal phishing attempts. Today, we want to empower our listeners to educate their families without sounding technical or kind of scary. By framing cybersecurity as part of your family care, we can make these discussions part of the holiday gathering, fostering awareness in supportive ways that help everyone feel more secure and tech savvy. So on that long note, do you guys have any favorite holiday themed fishing? Don't talk to your family.
Don't talk to your family. At least about geeks. You know,
depends on your relationship with your family, I suppose.
I always get stressed out because my parents are not very. They didn't grow up in tech. They didn't come across tech like I did in my 20s or late teens. So when they're challenged with something and they start asking me questions, then it pulls me back to being a 7-year-old boy. Getting yelled at by my mom and dad for not doing my homework on time, or, so I like to avoid tech talk around the holidays as much as possible. But I like to tell the gory stories of cybersecurity to help kind of reinforce where they need to ensure that they're taking care of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those guys. I'm an introvert. So when family shows up, I'm there for a little while and then I just hide.
Yeah.
And then the grandkids always find me. Like, what are you doing, Grandpa? Just sitting here. Usually I'm like upstairs playing an instrument or, I don't know, chilling. But when they do talk, like my mom just a couple weeks ago, sent me a text of a screenshot of a text that she had received. And she asked me, do I dare click on this? Is this a scam? And so I replied back to her, yeah, it's totally a scam. And I gave her like 3 things she could have seen in this text that would have highlighted that this was a scam. And I was really proud of her, man. And she said that and then she said, well, it's nice to have, somebody that I can go to ask these questions, that isn't going to make me feel stupid. So then I called her stupid, but that was a totally different thing.
Way to ruin a tender moment.
Right. But I think being that person that's just, transparent, that doesn't judge, helps a lot. I know a lot of tech people that are, they have big egos and they just think that they're kind of high on themselves, and nobody feels comfortable asking them. It reminds me of like the Saturday Night Live skit that they had when, that the IT guy. Oh, yeah. And he always made people feel just, completely stupid. Don't be that person, for starters. And maybe they'll ask you questions. And if you have personal stories, like another thing that always is helped, because I am a curious person who has fallen for more scams than I probably stopped, just because, I have a different risk tolerance and I'm interested to see how things are working. So I can share my own stories. And when you share your own stories and you're open about that, then they're like, well, if you fell for it, then I feel comfortable asking. You don't want to overplay that card because then you're the idiot that nobody wants to ask for advice from.
Yeah, because you keep clicking on stuff or doing things.
Yeah, but personalize it.
You're right, because there's I was at the office one day about a year and a half ago, and it was I think it was 5:30, and there was a couple of us there, just kind of finishing up the day, and there was somebody pounding on the door, and somebody else went and got it and then came into my office and said, there's somebody here to see you. And it was my friend Tony, the cookie guy. For those of you know about Tony, the cookie guy. And and he had gotten a PayPal scam, and he contacted the number to say, I don't know what this is. What's this invoice? And they started sending him like all of these PIN, Google MFA code, read this to me and and I'll send you the money back, that type of stuff. And when he had that going on, and because of our friendship, the conversation, he just stopped everything he was doing, and he's like, I know Mike works a little bit later than everybody. He just came to the office, and we sat, and I got one of the guys to help fix his phone, and we wiped his phone, reset a bunch of stuff, got his access to things. And then we just sat and talked for a while. And about 2 months ago, I saw him, and we were joking. He's like, oh, I almost called you the other day. I got another scam. But he had recognized it. He didn't get into it. And from that last education, because it was all around, how do I get these things? Why do people have it? How do they even know about me? On and on and on. And so it was good. And to be there that was one of the things I thought was the most important, is kind of being there for people. Tony is not a tech guy, and not in any way. He makes the most world famous, amazing peanut butter cookies. But you would not, he's got more tattoos on his hands than you do, Evan. He's just that type of guy. So,
well, yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of times in tech, our friends are tech people, we do tech all the time. And so you have a tendency to think that everybody's a tech person.
Yeah,
and the truth is, we're the minority. Most people are not tech people, right? So try to show a little bit of empathy and look at the world, from what seems like a stupid question to you is, they need help with it. And the thing is, we have this tendency to continue to adopt this new technology faster. There's this FOMO, right? And so the new tech comes out and people buy it and they don't even question why they're buying it. Do they actually need it? How do I use it securely? And so sometimes I think it's when the time is right, it's appropriate for us to just step in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, oh, that's awesome, man. You got a new blah, blah, blah drone thing. I'm really interested in, playing with it too, but maybe I can help you set it up right.
Well, I see that a lot about apps. I hear a lot of people talking about apps they got on their phone. Hey, I got this app and it does this. Hey, I picked up this app and then I put all my personal information in and I pay for it. And it does these 2 or 3 things. Yeah. But we're not paying attention to what those apps are doing. A lot of times, unfortunately, unfortunately, my family group is a little bit smaller and it's more older. So it's mainly just Jill and the boys that I have to kind of pay attention to. My in-laws and my parents, it's more around the phishing type scams and talking to them about those. And my parents are very adept at that. They get phone calls from their fake kids all the time. And now they're just more interested in messing with these people than they are about trying to hang up on them. So they'll call me and tell me a story of like, oh, I had this guy call me and he said he was you. And we're like, oh, you sound different. He's like, well, I broke my jaw. It was a big accident. I need like 10 grand. Mom, can you? And my mom would be like, oh, have you asked your brother Joe yet? And he's like, oh, no, I haven't asked him. He's not available. And I don't have a brother Joe. And they just kind of feed into it. And they're like, well, okay, well, we can wire it. Where would you like us to wire money to? And they just keep them and run them along just to kind of the social engineer back, because they think as long as they're talking to them, somebody else isn't talking to them. So,
right.
But
one in another, like, we don't want to be like the Debbie Downer either. Right.
No.
So, Christmas is usually an exciting time, especially when people are getting gifts, they're excited about this new smartwatch, smartphone, whatever tech they got. I also don't want to be that guy that's like, well, you better use it securely. You better change. You know what I mean? You want to.
Have you read the privacy policy yet?
Yeah. I mean, there's a way to communicate it, right? It's the same way. It's the same way we communicate security stuff. I think if you're good at your job, the way you communicate security stuff at work, right?
Yeah.
You find the opportunities to kind of slip things in that you can position, using it securely with getting the most out of it, having the most fun with it without overselling fear too. So I think number one, you just got to, bridge that communication gap. You have to say, even if you say it and you sound stupid, say it.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times too, when, if you've created that environment, we come from, very authentic place, very honest, open places, and our family and sees that because they've known us for so long. So when I come and I start talking geek speak, thinking, I'm talking to geeks, instead I'm talking to my dad who doesn't understand that. He could school me all day long on the differences in wood turning and bolt, just all of that stuff. But what I've always appreciated is kind of that slowing it down, taking the moment to slow it down and ask where they ask the follow-up question. What does that mean? Why does, or we'll watch the news together and something will pop up about China. And I'm like, oh, they're ruining the world. And then somebody like, why do you say that? Why do you feel that way? And so then I go on in my rant about various things related to that and referencing, and then, kind of pulling that back. Why is that important to them? How is that important to where we approach things? Sometimes too, when the other thing too, when they, kind of talk about like, when we go out a lot of time, this time of year, we're going out to eat, going to restaurants and we, they have those QR codes on the table, or they have you scan this for our menu, scan this to do whatever. And usually those are the times I take to like educate on a QR code. This is why you don't really want to scan that, let alone my dad doesn't have the tech to do it. So he forces them to give him a menu anyway, but it's when those things come up, kind of start talking about those pieces. So
yeah. Well, if you build a rapport, if you build a rapport with your family where they feel comfortable asking, questions, they almost feel pride in pointing things out. My wife is like that. She'll be like, oh, that QR code, and she'll try to school me on it, and I'll let her school me. Right. The point isn't for me to come off as being smarter than you. The point is like, hey, good job. That's good, and I'll even say like, even if I did see it, I'll give them credit. Like, yeah, good job, man. I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You might've just saved me from something right there. So I think you can build this culture. It's like, and I've said this so many times, in my house, I'm like the CEO of this house, right? So it's kind of like a little business. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for everything that happens here, right? Just like a CEO of a business, ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for everything that happens there, right? So if you run it that way, you create this culture of, openness, transparency, situational awareness. And it doesn't, I think sometimes people think it gets in the way, or it's too mechanical, but actually it when you're truly situationally aware, you enjoy life more. Yeah. Not only am I more aware of threats than people who aren't situationally aware, I'm also enjoying life a hell of a lot more because I'm picking up on things, the details. Yeah. So
paying attention.
Some really good points that you guys have pulled out. I haven't really had to ask many questions because you've covered like the first half of them, which is amazing. But Evan, I have to agree.
We prepped ahead of time.
So much work.
Yes.
I can totally relate to like your wife. So Mike probably gets the most random text messages from me because I get so excited. Like if I talk to somebody that I've never met before and it's not a work thing and we start rolling on a cybersecurity discussion, or like I don't know, my daughter now comes to me when she gets the scammy text messages, and I'm like super excited to share that stuff with him because he gives that same vibe that you do, and you make it feel like like I'm proud that I caught something or I learned something new. And it's nice to have that like approachable way about you guys. And I think that's some good advice for your listeners is, you know, being approachable, don't be a dick, right? We say that a lot.
Yeah.
And people want to come to you with those questions or those successes once they start feeling like they're having some. So, you know, that kind of takes us into talking about traveling during the holidays. I mean, a lot of people do that. It's not a cliche for a reason. So I'm kind of curious, you know, what extra steps maybe our loved ones can take throughout this holiday season to make sure that maybe their device hygiene is up to standard before they're out there and you know, hitting on all kinds of random Wi-Fi, or, you know, I don't like what is the advice that you would give to those family members around that?
Around travel?
Yeah, just protecting yourself as you're traveling, you know, from some of these threats that are out there.
Well, I mean, number one is no matter what situation you're in, no matter where you're at, it's situational awareness, right? You walk around, you know, especially airports, hotels, shopping centers, and everybody's got their head buried. Not everybody, but too many people have their head buried in a phone, so they're not paying attention. Mm-hmm. An attacker could easily walk up to you and you never see them approach. You'd never have that early detection, you know, be able to play out, you know, what would I do if somebody pulled a gun right now? You know, and it's not paranoia. I mean, it's just paying attention. Mm-hmm. You know, and it becomes a habit. Like when you walk into a room, you know the exits. I know how to get out of this place in case shit goes sideways. And the same thing when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling, because you're in places you're not comfortable with. You're in places you haven't been before. So you need to pay attention. In terms of tech stuff, don't trust anything. Don't trust public Wi-Fi. Don't trust the person sitting next to you. So keep an eye on your phone, keep an eye on your laptop, keep an eye on everything. So you know, it's just normal situational awareness stuff.
When you say don't trust public Wi-Fi, you know, what do you if I'm acting like, you know, my wife or my dad, what do you mean by that? Should I not get on Wi-Fi? Can I do some things on Wi-Fi?
Well, it depends. You know, I mean, it's always a trade-off, right, between convenience and security. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be doing just normal day-to-day, you know, stuff. So if they were to ask me what do I mean by public Wi-Fi? I mean like the free Wi-Fi at the airport. I mean like Starbucks Wi-Fi, hotel, yeah. And then I share what I do. If I need to use that Wi-Fi, you know, I use a VPN. And if they ask, well, what's a VPN? Well, then that's just a great opportunity to talk some more,
right,
about a VPN and how easy it is actually to use. I think for non-tech people, VPNs can be very intimidating. Anytime you use the word encryption, they're like, "What did you just say?" It's like, no, man, it's all good. You don't have to understand encryption. You just got to be able to click the right button when you go online. It's not a big deal.
Right. Correct. Yeah, that's kind of what I think about too, is when I tell people that, you know, to use credit cards at a gas station, don't use a debit card. And they're like, well, why? And I'm like, well, skimmers. Well, how do I tell if there's a skimmer? It was like, that's the point. You can't. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. You know, use Apple ID, use a credit card, so that if something does happen, then it's the risk is on the credit card company instead of in your checking account. And so goes back.
Yeah, and situational awareness, like knowing what's going on around you, like somebody's approaching from behind. I mean, just knowing that that's there. It's not like I'm freaking out about it, but I know it's going on. You know, I wish more people, because it is a learned habit. Being situationally aware isn't like a special gift from Jesus or anything. I mean, you can learn it.
Yes, you can.
And the more you learn it, because like skimmers, right? I mean, yes, there are some very sophisticated, you know, covers on those readers that are very hard to identify. But if you're situationally aware, you're paying attention, right? You pay attention to things like, normally when I use email, my computer doesn't run this damn slow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the thing with computers is they only do what you tell them to do. So the reason it's running slow isn't just some thing by chance. There's something telling it to run slower. So yeah, I drill that into all my family, kids for sure. But then, I'm also ADHD, so I'll drift off somewhere, and then it gives them a great opportunity to correct me. Like, Dad, you're not even paying attention. I was talking to you for 5 minutes. Like, oh shit, you're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Or I get a lot of too, like, you were kind of an asshole to that person. Why did you say it that way? Well, I don't know. Get out of my way. I'm trying to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, Evan, like when you're going through and having some of that talk, like with your parents about the public Wi-Fi, do you get pushback from them? Like, I mean, it's kind of inconvenient if you're not used to it, or you don't have that caution in your heart to know that it's become a habit for you. So I'm curious, like when you do get that pushback, like how do you help them through it, or is it sort of like a brick wall with some?
Well, I think it's another misconception that security people make a lot, is just because it's not a risk that I would accept, then nobody else should ever accept it.
Right.
I have a different risk tolerance on certain things than other people do. What's not okay is for you not to understand the risk, right? For you to be risk ignorant. So if my parents or family members or friends, like, oh yeah, thanks for the advice. I'm not going to, just as long as you understand what the risk is, as long as you understand what could potentially happen, how easy it is to, especially with auto join on some of your devices, how easy it is just to spoof one of those access points and capture all your traffic. So if you explain it, like, this is why, it's not because I'm a security guy and we all use VPNs. No, there's a reason behind it. And if you're fine with that, then I'm fine with it too.
Well, and it's just like you also talked about too, is the risk of what you're doing, right? If I am just looking for an address to something, or I'm trying to search restaurants, or I'm trying to plan what we're going to do in the next 2 days, whatever. But if I'm going to start trying to do banking transfers or log into accounts or purchase stuff, then it's the importance of having the security layer on there. And then I reboot my phone all the time too from that stuff as well. So, and I always encourage your family members, your friends, anybody to ask why. Right.
It's okay to ask why. If you don't understand it, maybe I don't understand it. Maybe we can go discover this together, because we don't do these things just for the sake of doing these things. There's a purpose and a reason behind it. And that's what motivates you, I think, to do it.
All right.
Agreed.
Well, thank you for that. So
sometimes you can play games on them too. Like, you could set up your own access point while you're sitting there and they auto join. You're like, what are you doing on that website? And they're like, what? I'm like, this is why I told you to use a VPN.
Well, I saw Chris's post this morning. I think I'm going to take my flipper and turn up the pressure.
You got to be careful about flippers in airports now, though.
Yeah, you can't take them in the airports, but I think I'm going to take it and turn up the air pressure on my dad's tires and see if he knows.
Chris has a different risk tolerance. There are some countries he's not allowed to go into anymore.
True.
So switching tracks, the holidays can be pretty emotional for some people, most people, I would think, whether it's the anxiety of being around family or, the loss of a loved one that time of year, or being alone. I don't know. It's a very emotional time of year for a lot of people. Can you guys have any examples of some holiday scams that maybe prey on those emotions, or red flags that you've seen come out of that?
Almost all of your holiday scams. Almost all of your holiday scams capitalize on emotion. Yeah. When you think of decision making, the best decision making is when you're in balance between emotion and logic. And when you see that new thing or that excellent deal, that awesome deal, that brings up that emotion, maybe a fear of missing out. But it's usually the emotions that the hardest ones to scam, the hardest ones to social engineer, are the ones who are just very, very logical, and emotion isn't really a driver. So as much as you can, try to recognize emotion, your own emotions, right? Self-awareness. That's most of the shitty decisions I've made are because emotions have been out of whack. Like, think of the last argument you had with your spouse. You made some shitty choices. You said some things that you wish you didn't say. That's just an example of when emotions, trump. You think of like,
it's not because we were happy, right?
no. But there's also that. I mean, there's the emotion the other way.
I mean,
too,
in that
right?
moment, right? Like,
Yeah. But I think thinking it through and then asking questions. That's why a third party, like a friend or another family member, asking them about it, because they don't have the same emotion as you do. They're not in it.
Right.
And they won't be clouded by it.
Sure.
So yeah, fuck your emotions. Fuck your emotions.
Fuck your emotions. We had that.
Can I say it out loud?
Yeah.
Do we have to?
We had that on Black Friday. Rowan called us, and he was at the mall at the Apple store, and they were having a super deal on AirPods, and so I looked it up online, found them cheaper on Amazon, but it was in that moment. He was in that emotional moment of, I'm at the store, they got a deal, the guy's telling me I get this extra and this, and which was, are you going to use any of that stuff? No, it's just going to make you try to buy more things. So, but it was great. He reached out, and he's done that a few times. That emotional, like, hey, I think this is a great deal. Can I buy this? And we talk through it, and having that conversation of like, no, this is not a great deal when you look at the whole picture, because like you said, it's all of that emotion base, especially this kind of shopping season and tickets. And I mean, it's all those advertisements for cars that have the big, beautiful red ribbons on top of them on TV. Makes you want to buy a new car.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it come off too, like we're just really smart. And honestly, the reason why I know these things is I've done them.
Yeah.
I've been taken advantage of too. I mean, I've been scammed many times. You put yourself in, if you put yourself into like a really dangerous neighborhood, expect to get robbed, right? And a lot of times, sometimes we're in those dangerous places, and it's like, oh shit. Like then I always have to tell my wife, and she's always like, seriously, again? I guess again. But I think the two biggest things, if you can get your head around and control your emotions, and the second thing is context is really important. So that's why situational awareness is really important. Yeah. If you can master those two skills, man, it makes you so much more resilient from any kind of scam.
Got it. So get your head out of your ass. Check.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pay attention to your environment. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other, before we dive into our top 10 tips, did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on that we didn't cover?
I think from just,
That was a deep
holidays,
sigh. That was a deep sigh.
Holidays are about love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love my family. I love my wife. I love my friends. I love my coworkers. And so when I do talk to them about this stuff, they know where it's coming from. I'm not trying to serve my ego. I'm not trying to sound like the smart guy in the room. I'm telling you this stuff because I truly do love you. And I don't want you to I don't want you to be a victim. If you did become a victim, they all know too that I would be there to help you recover. But I think just love, man. I mean, love your family, have these difficult discussions. Not having the difficult discussion, if it's on your mind, is actually not love, right? Just letting people destroy themselves, that's not love. You need to step up.
Well, I think carrying it through that theme, it's not just around the cyber and during the holiday seasons. It's usually a time where we get everybody together, people you would normally see or people you see on an annual basis. It's like taking the time to connect beyond just eating whatever the holiday dish is. This is a very stressful time. It's a very There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of work stress, and then, we all can all talk about burnout and other things, but taking these moments also to check on the mental fitness of everybody around as well is really important, to connect on that level also, not just talk about, don't click on shit or look at, read your privacy policies on the apps that you install on your phone before you start sharing geolocation data and personal information with, the People's Republic of China. There's, doing
one last thing too, do not ever victim shame.
No. Yeah.
So if one of your family members clicked the link, fell for a scam, victim hold shame. It. Yeah. That's another time when, you've got to keep your own emotions in check. Like, you may be pissed, you may be angry, you may be disappointed, chill out. Yeah. Do not victim shame, because if you become that person, then nobody's ever going to tell you about shit, and you're not going to be able to help them respond. And, you just lost a big portion of your own situational awareness. So correct. No victim shaming.
Yeah. It's always good to kind of go into those, like, you're not the, lead with an example. You're not the only one. This has happened to some other people. How do we get some of this back? How do we help you identify and move past it? Correct. Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of brings us full circle, because we started with that, and you were kind of talking about sharing your own experiences and having that moment of, just being humble and transparent about when you went through it, so that it normalizes it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Being scammed and having family scammed. I will never forget my aunt being scammed with a foreign lottery scheme, losing $90,000. And luckily, my mom and dad were able to interject into it, and pull her out of it. I mean, it could have gone a lot worse than it did. So,
yeah, it's just like at work, right? You try your best to prevent all the bad things from happening, but knowing that no matter what you do, you won't be able to prevent all the bad things from happening. What do you have in place to detect the bad thing that happened, and then how will you respond to it? And the detection is, a lot of times it's you, right? Your own situational awareness. You are probably the best detection mechanism, and then your response. And play it out, right? If I did fall for a scam, who am I going to call? Do I have a cousin, a son, somebody? You don't, and you want to be able, maybe even tell them ahead of time if you want, like, hey, if shit ever hits the fan with me, just so you know, I'm going to be calling you. So get yourself prepared. And if you victim shame me, I'm going to burn your fucking house down.
Yeah. And then some. Hey, one of the other things too I was thinking about was, I think you kind of hit on it a little bit, was, right now there's a lot of industry, or just a lot of talk in the news about different cyber stuff. I know that one of the questions, and I was going to ask you what you thought of this. One of the questions I'm going to get is around, our mobile devices and the government telling us to use encrypted systems on our devices. I was trying to figure out, aside from don't use WhatsApp, don't use these things.
I use those because I don't want the government in my shit.
So I'm a Signal all the way. I'm not in a
Signal, WhatsApp.
Yeah. So what do you have anything in a suggestion for people on how to have some of those?
Some of those what? Some of those apps?
No, hot topics. When those topics come up.
I like to approach those with an open mind. The older I get, the more I've started to appreciate other people's perspectives. So it's not uncommon for me when they bring up a hot topic for me, what do you think about it? I'd be more interested in hearing what you have to say.
True.
About this, because that'll give me a couple of things. One, that'll give me where you're coming from, so I don't get myself into a hot mess with you. And two,
you don't have to call them stupid.
It gives me some thought about whether or not, that approach you're taking, whether you actually thought that out or you're just doing it because, whatever. Because I was talking to a friend. I was fucking around with TikTok, this week, and man, they have some sweet ass video editing tools. I mean, the best, like easiest to use, couple of clicks. It's like, wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
You can't find that anywhere else. And so I was talking to a buddy, actually I sent you some videos too, but so I sent him a video and he's like, what did you use to edit this? I'm like, I used TikTok. And he's like, and he's a security guy. He's like, what are you flipping nuts? I'm like, I'm just using it for video editing, man. It's awesome. I mean, I'm not doing it for anything else. And he's like, well, what do you, are you worried about China? I'm like, you really think China doesn't already have the shit about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind if China knows the shit I do on my phone. What I don't want China to know is what I did with the other personas that they haven't tied to me. I don't want them to know that shit.
Yeah.
But just because, and that it goes back to that, like different risk tolerances for different people. We're so, I think, judgmental in this industry. Like, I can't believe you flipping use TikTok. You're evil.
Right.
No, I mean, how are you using it? What are you using it for? Are you being responsible using it? It's not the tool that's evil. It's how you're using it.
Yeah.
So, be careful with that on those hot topics. Cause a lot of times, I've seen others in my family who are tech people, because they're so like, what is that? Not biased. Biased. Like, I can't believe you flicking use that. Then and what you just did is you made that person feel stupid. That's not good. Right. So ask them how they see it, how they feel about it. And then if you feel like, you have some value to add to the conversation, do it. If not, just shut up. My take. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
Same kind of thing. Just listen or talk.
Or I just take off my shirt because I heard it was clothing optional at this party.
That's right. Naked okay.
Today's episode is clothing optional, brought to you by Evan.
Yeah. I mean, if the Christmas party's at my house, anything goes, man. If I don't like the conversation, I just start taking off clothes and they're like, what the hell is happening? I don't know. You can leave.
Is that how you get your family to leave?
Sometimes. Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Great idea. I'm going to try that next time my in-laws are over. I'm going to just take my pants off at dinner.
Make sure you got underwear on. You don't want to go straight to that.
No. Mother-in-law doesn't need that.
Yeah. I had a guy here once, we have lots of people that come here all the time. Lots of people, right? Like 160 people since we moved here and everything. And there's this one guy, his name is Tony. I'm not going to say his name, but it's Tony. He was a little dude, man. He's kind of short and squatchy. I don't know what he is, and he's I think he's gay, but he doesn't want to admit it, but I think it is. I mean, we've had these talks, whatever. But one day I come downstairs and, their pool's right out there and they're playing music on the speakers and he's twerking.
Sounds like my kind of party. I'm just
No. I walked over. No. I walked over to him and I said, Tony, and he's like, what? And I go, I don't ever want to see you do that again. You do not twerk in front of me. Not with those, whatever the hell you're wearing right now, that Speedo thing. No. Because I saw shit right there that I'm not going to be able to unsee.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, I feel like I can't shower long enough to get that shit off of me.
Do you feel violated?
I did feel very violated. So just, no twerking, please.
No twerking during the holidays. Yeah, it's a good point.
Or at least male twerking. I mean, I don't know. It didn't work.
That's going to be a hard rule to follow, but I'll try. Yeah. Well, on that note,
I don't know how I got to talking about Tony. You were supposed to keep us on track, Mel.
I am. I'm reining it in. I'm reining it back in. On that note, we are going to go through. We asked you to put together a list of your top 10 tips for the holiday season. So
I'm supposed to come with my own list.
No. We compiled the thoughts, and they are here for you today. Okay. So we're going to go like old school late night TV style, and we'll start with number 10, which I think our Wizard of Oz person is going to plop that up for us. There you go.
Don't click on
shit.
Shit.
That's a very important one to do. Don't click on shit. You don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. We probably don't have to spend a whole lot of time on that one, but this is a good
I do
one.
get questions when I say that, like, don't click on shit. Like, my mother would say, What do you mean? Like, I can't use my computer without clicking on shit. I can't go on the internet without clicking on shit. So what do you mean?
Don't click on those URLs that you don't know what they do. Don't click on. If it's too good to be true, it's not true.
Yeah.
If it's nothing's free, everything costs.
Yeah.
IRS is not going to send you an email. IRS is not going to call you.
Now you tell me. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome for that. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah. Microsoft is not going to call you to tell you that they found a virus on your computer and they're there to help you. There's no way. And they're not.
Did you see that Microsoft just had put something out today? Don't update.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I think they fucked up and updating it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Because I think it's a legit question. Because I have been asked that, so I actually had time to think about it. You know, what do you mean? Don't click on shit? It's like, well, click on the right shit, right? And it goes back to that situational awareness. Like if it's in an email, in the email, I'm not expecting it. I didn't ask for this email. I haven't communicated with this person before, and the email just seems like pressured, right? Like urgent. You know, that situational awareness will feed a lot into whether you click or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think just validate your shit before you click the shit. You know? That
was just too long to write. That's why we stuck with don't click shit.
Well, I mean, you're definitely safer. You don't click it at all. For sure.
Yeah.
Validate shit.
Yeah. Well, when I talk to my kiddos about it, it's like, hey, if you didn't initiate the conversation and somebody is sending you a link or somebody is asking for your information, just that's a good indication. Like if you didn't initiate that conversation,
Mel.
Stay away.
Mel, high five to you, girl. That's the golden rule. The golden rule is never give out any sensitive information on any communication that you didn't initiate. That's the same with a text. That's the same with a phone call. That's the same with an email. It's the same with anything. So if I didn't initiate this communication, I'm not giving out any sensitive information. And if you live by that, then, you know, there's no easy button. There's no silver bullet, but that alone will go a long ways towards, you know, reducing your own attack surface. So kudos to you.
Well, it was a very basic concept to introduce to an 8 and 11-year-old, right? Like, that's pretty easy without getting too deep with them. So
we're going to create a Cyber Mom Award, and you just won it.
Nice.
Do I get a cape?
I think so. Michael's going to have to put it in his budget.
Yep.
Well, I'll fund it myself.
Yep. Okay.
I'll do a cape.
Self-funded.
Yep.
All right. I think we should probably roll into number 9.
Cover your webcam when not in use. You don't need you don't need to be a star on a holiday special.
Tell that to my OnlyFans friends.
That's right. Cover your webcam.
Well, that's intentional. Yeah, I mean, that's different.
I do have my own holiday special on. No, I don't. You really don't want to see
on
this.
OnlyFans?
No. I've never even been to OnlyFans.
Drop the link in the description. We'll get a bunch of subscribers today.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. Do you, because I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I don't block my webcam. And I don't have any reason why I do or don't. I know that lots of people have told me to, or lots of people do it. It's just never something I've done.
I mainly
get it if you do it.
I mainly do it because of my ADD and forgetting that it's on. You know, honestly, to have something that gets plugged into my computer that takes over my webcam that can start, streaming me is going to be difficult because of the tools and stuff we have in place. But there's a lot of meetings or different platforms that I have to attend meetings on that people use because there's not a single one. And all of a sudden, like my face, picking my nose pops up on the screen in a meeting or a broadcast or something. And
sorry, what, Mike?
Exactly. I try to avoid that. And then, so usually that's what I do. During the COVID time, especially,
Yeah.
we had a lot of people, or I used to host a meeting on Zoom, and I had people join on their phones, and the cameras got stuffed in their bras while they were getting up to walk around, going into bathrooms.
So it's as much to protect you against your own accidental use as it is to protect you against malware or somebody, compromising your computer. Because truly, if somebody's going to compromise your computer and has access to your webcam, the webcam might be the least of your worries.
Right. I would agree.
Now, what about on like an iPad?
Same kind of
thing. I've never blocked it on an iPad either. Do you think, I've never even thought about that. Is that something I should block on my iPad? I may have to do some research on that.
Yeah, again, for me, it's more around just my own personal, modesty, I guess I would say, than anything. Right. And then physical.
All
so
right.
I'm streaming with a physical camera, so I shut it off.
All right.
All right, we're taking so long. I forgot what number we're fucking on. So I think
we're on number 8 there.
Number 8.
We need to
dial her down just a little bit. Would you?
Sorry, I'm getting in the background like it's basically like somebody standing at the back of the room of the comedy club telling you to wrap it up. So
wrap it up. Wrap it up.
I don't have any. Well, I don't have any friends in Nigeria, so I don't know. Seems like the Grinch could be a friend. Why not?
The Prince of Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's not the start of a rom-com, I guess, is probably the most important piece there.
Well, and for people that don't, because I think there's a generation that maybe doesn't know this, very well, but it's a classic social engineering, attack and scam, the Nigerian prince, right? But it's all scams.
For us
it's all
Gen
scams
Xers,
like that.
that's a familiar one.
But it's all scams like that, right? Going back to think about it first. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got an email, you got a phone call, you got a text that's saying, "Oh my God, I'm blah 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 blah," and you might have won $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
No, you didn't. You did not win $1 million.
Right.
Spoiler.
But the reason why people fall for that is emotion and lack of situational awareness. Like, oh my God, $1 million. I would pay off all my credit card bills. And then also taking a step back, being aware, like, wait a second, it's that wait a second, listen to that voice.
Right.
If you don't have that voice, then give me a call and I'll be your Nigerian prince.
Just don't twerk for him. All right. Number 7.
If I get more money for it.
Think before you overshare.
Yeah.
We should have done that a couple of times on today's broadcast.
No. I'll tell you everything. Well, here's the thing about sharing. I learned this. There's actually a really good defense in being fully transparent. Because what are you going to use against me that people don't already know?
True. Oh, it's more around the security questions. What is your mother's maiden name? What was
my mother's maiden name is Meyer, Meyer.
King, King. It's mine. It's that type of stuff. Are you?
The last 4 digits of my social is 2017. That's actually true. So help yourself. Enjoy.
Evan breaking all the rules today. Number 6.
Yeah. Well, then, you guys can see how I handle my own incident response.
That's right.
Don't click on shit. Seriously, stop.
We don't need Marlis coming into the picture smacking you.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So
number 5. Yeah, we got don't click on shit. We're good.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Update before you eggnog. Tipsy maintenance never ends well.
What does that mean?
If you don't get drunk and then
don't compute while intoxicated.
Don't compute while intoxicated.
How about
solid advice?
Or over.
Does that same hold true with meth?
Yes.
Really? Oh my God. I compute so well if I was mething.
I don't think you would.
No, I probably wouldn't.
No.
You're exactly right. But I do have caffeine pills right here.
And a protein bar.
Yeah, that's
Caffeine
different.
pills.
Right.
That's different, much different than meth, but still a chemical.
All right.
Did you guys
Number
want a protein
4.
bar?
No, I'm
Yeah,
good.
can you just pass that through?
Yeah. Number what?
Turn off smart
Number 4.
devices.
Yeah,
Your Alexa. Turn off your Alexa before you start having those secure conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good advice.
It's hard to hack something remotely when it's not on.
No, I've gotten yelled at by a dear friend that lives in Montana about having the actual conversation was, you won't have a social media account, but you have an Amazon Alexa in your house. What the hell is wrong with you, Kennedy?
Yeah.
So I unplugged it. Thank you, Oscar.
Yeah. Well, and if you have, and going back, man, if you have an Amazon Alexa, you just use it responsibly.
Correct.
Right. And if you don't know how to do that, well, then you're not doing it responsibly. Right. You would know that the answer to that question.
Correct.
If you were just interested in using it responsibly, there's lots of things, right? Change defaults, segment that off the network so that you can only control the things you want to control. There's just a series of things that you would do. So just having an Alexa, it's not a huge deal, but the way you use it, that's the deal. And most people just plug that shit in, right? Just plug it in and they put it in. There are people that have Alexa stuff like in their bedrooms.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Careful.
I'm going to stay quiet over here. Let's move into number 3.
There's 3.
Elves don't ask for gift cards.
They don't?
No. Nobody's asking for a gift card. There's no CEO in any company anywhere that is texting the new hire asking them to go buy gift cards for some special project. Never.
My team gets these emails all the damn time and these texts all the time. I think it's so funny.
Most definitely.
I know Jared used to
Number
post them on LinkedIn a lot.
Yeah.
Number 2?
Number 2.
Strong passwords.
Not ho, 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 1, 2, 3.
Ho, 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 1, 2, 3. No. But I think winter 2024 is pretty good.
I should probably go change some of mine real quick. If I can't use ho, 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 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Long is strong. That's the answer. The longer it is, the stronger it is.
Number 1.
Number 1.
I'm not going to get fired. I quit.
Really? That was easy.
On shit.
So we got don't click on shit again. There you go. Yeah. No, I agree with all this stuff. While I was sitting here, I figured, let's ask ChatGPT. Why not? The top 10. And the top 10 that it came up with was be wary of too good to be true deals. Shop only on trusted websites. Avoid checking or clicking suspicious links. Use credit cards, not debit cards. Mike, you said that one.
Yep.
Monitor bank and credit card statements regularly. Verify charity requests. Be cautious with public Wi-Fi. Beware of gift card scams. Keep devices updated. There's an ED on the end of that. And then trust your gut. We actually covered all of those in the discussion, just in different ways. Mm-hmm. So, kudos to ChatGPT. ChatGPT can give me a call when they click on that link, I guess.
And to you two for, outsmarting the AI today. Good job. You came up with all the topics on your own. You didn't need it. So,
well, like I said, man, it just comes from experience.
Right. Yep.
That's one of the ways you gain wisdom is experience with pain.
Yep. Been scammed once or twice. Clicked on things I shouldn't have clicked on. Gave up credit cards.
Right.
I shouldn't have. Yep.
And even if I didn't fall for some of these, I've been in incident responses where I've seen what it's done to other people.
Yeah.
I've sat across from company presidents knowing that they're not going to survive this attack, that they're going to be going out of business. And that's a shitty place to be. You know what I mean? So if you put yourself into those, use some empathy, put yourself into those situations, a lot of that keeps you honest too, right? Because these are smart people. Just about everybody that falls for a lot of these scams is probably pretty smart. It's not a question of intelligence. It's just a question of they didn't know, they weren't paying attention. They went too fast.
Got too emotional.
Yeah. All right. So
Cool. Well,
this
I think that's the
is this
end.
Christmas
We made
then?
it
Is
to the
it
10? Yeah.
is it Christmas yet? No?
Couple weeks.
Not quite. Mm-hmm. Getting close.
9 days to the
Shit, it's only the
9
12th.
days to the solstice.
It's crazy how fast this year went.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's December 12th already.
Yep.
Man. You got any gifts that you're excited about that you've purchased for somebody?
Yes.
Yes, I do. My wife.
But I'm right here, so I can't hear it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know if she'll watch this, but I bought something I'm pretty excited about. It's got AI in it.
What?
So, yep. Supposedly, that's what I'm excited to see.
One of my wife's Christmas gifts that she bought, I think for me, she got a text message from DHL saying that her package was held up in customs. And so she told me this because, yesterday we had go downtown. I had to ship something else for business stuff. And she's like, yeah, I got to go to DHL. I'm like, what are you going to DHL for? And she's like, I guess a package got stuck in customs. I'm like, how did you find out? She's like, a text. I'm like, that's bullshit. And she's like, no, it's not. I followed up on it. And she told me all the steps she took. And I'm like, holy crap. It's actually not bullshit, but wow. I mean, it should be, it has all the signs of bullshit.
Yeah,
it smelled like bullshit. And so she goes to DHL and I just, warned her, like, just be careful until everything is verified and validated. And, they couldn't release it. And so it turns out it was something that she bought from Anthropology. Is that a place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So she had bought it from Anthropology. And so it's a legit package with legit shit. But man, at first, 10 glances, there's no way in hell I would think that this was legit. I would have deleted that text in a heartbeat. But turns out it's legit. So now maybe it's like, should I call DHL and be like, you guys got to figure out a better way to do this shit?
Because it makes it like a scam. Yeah.
Because it kind of goes against half the things we talked about today not doing. Because they're probably wondering, why isn't anybody following up on these? They've got so many fucking packages stuck in customs and nobody wants their stuff.
Right.
It's like, no, they're all being
scammy.
cyber aware. Yeah. So it does happen that way. It does happen that way too. You have to follow up. Just be careful when you do it.
On that note, I'm getting another one of these in the background. So thank you both.
Are we done?
We are. I know. I'm so bummed that we've come to the end. But thank you both for some very insightful discussion. Helping us to help our families, especially over the holidays, as we'll be around each other quite a bit. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today.
Right on.
Good job. See you guys next time.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
Thank you guys.